Well, hi, I'm Jay Arthur, author of Lean Six Sigma Demystified in QI Macros. You know, you probably have experienced this, but we all make something like 30,000 decisions a day. Oh my gosh. Right? My friend Bob Wendover wrote a book called Beating Burnout, right? And how top thinkers overcome overwhelm. And he talks about what he calls decision fatigue. Is when you start making poor choices because your brain is overloaded due to the overwhelming demands of modern life. Now, I've also seen this in Lean Six Sigma, where we train people in everything from soup to nuts. And so when it comes time to actually make a decision to start a project, they get confused, right? They just kind of freeze up. It's odd, right? And because of the QI macros, I talk to a lot of people that have frozen up, and I try and unstick them, right, to get them to narrow their focus. But there's so many tools. Here's what I'd like you to think about. Would it be possible to start with just 3 tools? A control chart, a Pareto chart, and a fishbone, right? So we could put in an XMR chart to track our performance. And then we could use a Pareto chart to narrow our attention to figure out what's going wrong within that performance spectrum, right? You kind of take the control chart, turn it on its edge, and you get, like patient falls per 1,000 patient days, right? Turn it on its edge, you find out where all those happen. It might only happen in one unit. It might happen wherever, right? Same thing with manufacturing. It might happen in just one machine, or it might happen in just one process. It might, right? So when you turn that upside down and let it drop down into a Pareto chart, you discover, oh, gee, there's just one thing I might really need to fix here, right? And then a fishbone diagram helps you do root cause analysis on that one thing that's actually broken. So if you only have 3 tools, maybe a wrench, a screwdriver, and a hammer, then you can actually start to make some progress. If you have this whole suite of tools, and some of them are power, and some of them are manual, and other ones are, different sizes, pipe wrenches, and little needle nose, what? Right? People get confused about what to do, right? They have to make a decision. But if you only have 3 tools in that sequence, there's no decisions to be made. And I hate to make this sound too simple, but if you start doing that, you can make a lot of progress, and then later you can add another tool if you need it, or another tool beyond that. But don't, let this sense of so much stuff out there overwhelm you. That's why in the QI macros I have the control chart wizard. People were getting confused by, how do I say divide out into attribute and variable, and then what sample size, and blah, da, 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 da. Too many decisions. And people stumble and they balk when you do that, right? If I take all those decision processes away from you and just give you a chart, guess what? You can move on. Let Jay be your guide, right? People often ask me, and I tell them, if I'm going to do a control chart, I just click on the wizard because I know it'll give me the chart I want, and I don't have to think, right? I don't have to think. I don't want to have to think, right? I can build that into the software and let that do that. So, I think that's also things we can do in processes, right? Instead of making people make decisions all the time, maybe there's a way to automate that decision so it's done for them. Think, right? How can we simplify? How can we reduce the amount of decisions we have to make? Which will reduce our decision fatigue, which means we will make better decisions when we actually decide to make one. Anyway, that's my improvement insight for this week. Reduce yourself to 3 tools and just use those until you get really good at them. Then you can add some more. Let's go out and improve something this week.
Are you still using line, bar, and pie charts from the last century? You might want to consider control charts, Pareto charts, and histograms. Smart charts for the 21st century.